Hello, and welcome to this edition of What the Hell Just Happened, the vlog that is to the news what breathing is to yoga. Too grandiose? Yeah, maybe. I'm your host, Martin Gadapolar. This week we begin in Silver Spring, Maryland. And what the hell just happened there? A Coast Guard lieutenant named Christopher Paul Hasson was arrested for illegally possessing weapons and drugs. Now, if this were all he did, we could just count this as another arrest of a drug dealer. But this is no ordinary drugged-up gun nut, no. This guy had stockpiled dozens of assault rifles, handguns, and hundreds of thousands of rounds of ammo. As the feds gathered the evidence against him after his arrest, they found lots of documents that spelled out what he planned to do and why he planned to do it. One document was a spreadsheet of proposed victims that he planned to murder. On it was a who's who of liberal Democratic politicians and journalists. But other than the surprising fact that this sicko knew how to use a spreadsheet, this might have all just been the psychotic musings of a man lost in a fantasy world of revenge. But no, as it turns out, he's not a psychopath at all. He's a domestic terrorist with a clear agenda. In his writings, Hasson called for focused violence to establish a white homeland and said, quote, "I am dreaming of a way to kill almost every last person on the earth," end quote. Well, you can't fault him for lack of ambition. Thank God they caught this guy. But in today's political climate, it makes me wonder, how many other neo-Nazis are quietly gathering an arsenal and learning how to use Excel spreadsheets? And remind me again, was this terrorist a Shia or was he a Sunni Muslim? Yeah. Speaking of dangerous dirtbags, guess what the hell just happened to Roger Stone? He was called back into court this week for breaking the gag order he received from Judge Amy Berman Jackson. He did this by posting a picture on Instagram of Judge Jackson with what appeared to be the crosshairs of a gun drawn behind her head. He also made another posting with a caption that called Special Counsel Robert Mueller a deep state hitman. When he came before the judge, he was all apologies. He said the picture was just a random one he got off the internet. Sure, I'll bet. The judge told him that he's now subject to a total communication blackout, and that if she found any other violations, his bail would be revoked. We live in hope. I have a feeling that once Stone is convicted and goes to prison, he'll have a new definition of the term gag order. And now it's time for another installment of the segment we call Why the Hell Are You Still Here?, in which we profile a government official so unethical his behavior could be used as an emetic. This week we look at Secretary of Labor Alex Acosta. 10 years before he became Trump's cabinet secretary, Acosta served as the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, and it was here that he came to be the lead prosecutor on a case of Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire and party buddy of the current president. Epstein was known as a serial pedophile. He regularly trolled middle schools and high schools to round up girls whom he could pay to come to his mansion in South Florida. Because of this, he was eventually arrested and convicted of child prostitution and rape in federal court. But for some, as yet unknown reason, Acosta approved a secret federal non-prosecution agreement anyway, under which Epstein and his party buddies were granted immunity from all federal criminal charges. To avoid federal prosecution, Epstein agreed to plead guilty to two state prostitution charges, register as a sex offender, and pay restitution to 36 victims identified by the FBI. Epstein served only 13 months of an 18-month sentence in a work furlough, low-security facility where he was gone for 12 hours of each day for work. Yeah. And he was granted permission to take his private jet to his homes in New York and the U.S. Virgin Islands on several occasions. As you might expect, Epstein had more than 36 victims. It's believed Epstein trafficked in hundreds of minor girls as young as 13. For ongoing parties in his home and in his jet. Oddly enough, Epstein was not further prosecuted in Florida while Acosta was there. So what the hell just happened to Labor Secretary Alex Acosta? On Thursday, a Florida-based U.S. District Judge ruled that Acosta had signed off on the 2008 plea deal with Jeffrey Epstein without informing victims about the secret deal. They're coming to get him now because that was unlawful. And because he protected and enabled a monstrous pedophile and failed to inform his victims, we must now ask, Secretary Acosta, why are you still here? Sorry to end this on such a low note, but I'll be back here again next week, and I promise to tell you some good news stories when I'm doing that. Thanks for watching this episode of What the Hell Just Happened. Bye for now.